What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS. No punt intended right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. Make sure you're hitting that share button, that retweet button. Obviously, following and subscribing on all those platforms as well. We greatly appreciate all of it and everybody's support as we continue to grow this brand and this show. As always, I am Phil Stiefel. I got Jason Sullivan, as always, next to me, and back again and kind of slowly becoming part of Team DSM. Hunter, join us again tonight. Real quick before we get in, obviously we are brought to you by Manscaped, as is every other podcast in the world. He's rocking his Manscaped t-shirt right there. 20% off with promo code DSM. Get you 20% off and free shipping. Don't use the other promo codes. Use our promo code because you want to support us. That's what you want to do. And also check out the DSM Public t-shirt site. It's linked in the bios of the show. I'm going to get pictures by next week to show all the logos of all the shows that we do. The Fairway to Heaven show, this show, trending for 4 quarters. We got logos up, shirts. Shirts support the brand more than anything. So anybody out there, that wants to support right now, they're running $13 t-shirts right now. So check it out, get yourself a, I can't pull up the logo without taking all your faces off of there, but it's a pretty badass logo, if I say so myself. It'll look really good on the t-shirt. Jason would love a Christmas present of a DFS right. or a Fairway to Heaven t-shirt. Absolutely. So anyway, guys, welcome to week 7 of the NFL. I don't know about you, Hunter, but me and Jason were talking earlier today. It's been a rough couple weeks for me, but this week looks like it could be even rougher because there's a lot of tough games to really break down this week.
Yeah, you started off that sentence. I was hoping you were going to say it was rough too, because I have the same feeling. I was hoping that you didn't say, man, this is an easy slate, because I don't know where I was
You're like,
missing there. But yeah, it's very tough. Lots of key decisions we have to make, especially at the top of the board. So
yeah,
going to be a tough
I'm
one.
interested in where we're going to go this week. Jason, are you are you still on board, or have you figured the secret to this week out?
No, I haven't figured it out. I feel like the top of the board's weird this week, like Hunter kind of just alluded to right there, because there's a lot of obviously good names. The prices aren't bad, but then the matchups you look at and you're just like, these game totals are. I mean, I think there's only one game that's in the 50s this week, something like that, and it's the Lions game.
The Lions game and the Chiefs game are in the 50s, but that's it.
So yeah, not a lot to choose from, and you're not getting anything.
There's actually only 4 games above 47 points in game total. Crazy. That's insane. So what is the cause of it? Is it the fact that it's probably the busiest bye week? Excuse me, guys. Most bye games or bye teams this week. You got a lot of injuries going on. Combination of all of it. Is it just some bad matchups? Like what's the reason this week for these bad game totals, these bad matchups, and just overall confusion that we have this week?
I think you bring up a good point. I think it's probably a combination of all of those. I didn't really think about the injuries. I would have just assumed it's the some of the buys and just kind of the luck of the draw, just having some bad matchups. But you never know with these games. I mean, it's the NFL. Some of these could easily hit 50 points plus that we don't see out of anywhere. But you're right. It definitely is a week that's a little bit different, because we've been seeing weeks that with totals that are in the mid 50s even. So little interested to see how it all shakes out this week.
You could see these totals go up, I think, too, as the week goes on. Obviously, it's almost Friday, but I could see, Vegas starting to realize that people are going to start hammering these overs a little bit in some of these games. Especially a lot of good teams are playing really bad teams this week. Like Arizona's playing, I think, Houston, which is terrible. The Rams
actually,
are playing
I think
Detroit.
that's, you guys keep saying games that could go up. I think that game, that's only a 47.5 point, game point total there. I think that's a game that can easily surpass 50. I mean, I don't know if you guys are on board, but if Arizona starts blowing them out and then they start playing that soft, prevent defense that most defenses do play when they're up a lot, Houston could put 20 points up on the board against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals could still win by 20. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to really break down here with these games, because what they're at now to where they might end up are 2 totally different things. So I don't know, Jason, do you want to go first, just in case Jax interrupts you for a minute? Let's get your top team of the week. On where you're looking at right now.
So my favorite stack of the week is actually my value stack, believe it or not, just because there's so much uncertainty at the top of the board. My favorite game, I think, is Miami versus Atlanta.
Yeah, of course you'd go. I told you that was my favorite.
I was going to go that anyway.
Of course, you're going to.
But I'm not going the same way. Listen, I'm not going the same way you are. I'm actually going the Tua way. Poor Tua. Okay. I just feel so bad.
Oh wow.
He played really well last week. He had 25 points, 329 passing yards last week. The guy played well. I mean, Miami just doesn't want him to be the quarterback, obviously. So, but I just feel like his stacking options are easy to decipher, I feel like, compared to a lot of these guys. Jalen Waddle had 10 catches last week on 13 targets. I mean, is he going to get 29 points every week? No, but if he's getting 10 catches a week, that's pretty solid. Obviously, he's Tua's favorite receiver. I like Gesicki too. Gesicki was targeted a lot more. Obviously, he has a good rapport with Tua. So I like stacking the two of those guys with Tua, and that leaves you with 55, 57 for the rest of your team. So I kind of like that as like a good building block, especially in a week where I think you need to pay up at running back.
Look, all Eagles fans watching this show are going to laugh at me for saying this, but one of my biggest value steals, because we talked about this before, it depends. Some weeks you want to pay up at wide receiver. Some weeks you want to pay up at running back, whatever. This is a week where I think you have to pay up at running back because there's really no value running backs to choose from this week. Well, there's a few, but not really, any locks. This is the week where if you're going to look at the bottom of the wide receiver barrel and hope to find somebody that's super cheap that just gets 3 or 4 catches or catches a long touchdown or whatnot. And the Miami Dolphins, all Eagles fans are going to blast me for this. But Matt Collins, I mean, obviously Waddle is their number 1 wide receiver now, but Parker's out, Fuller is out. Matt Collins got 5 targets last week, 4 catches for 61 yards. He is priced at the bare minimum $3K. Okay. He obviously has a little bit of a opportunity to get some playing time. And the one thing I know of Matt Collins from his time in Philly is he is one fast mother. Okay. And if anybody is going to, if he's going to get 5 targets this weekend, there's a really good chance that he can break one for 40, 50 yards. So one of my steals of the week is if you're going to play a heavier stack or if you're looking for value, Matt Collins at $3K. I'm not saying he's going to score a touchdown, but I'm saying there's a really strong chance that he can have the opportunity to get that big play.
Yeah, you guys even know who Matt Collins
is? No, I was just going to say that. No, I'm writing it down because I never even heard of the guy before. So
he was kept on the Eagles for multiple years because he was a really good special teams player. And he's actually the Dolphins special teams captain.
Nice.
So we traded him to the Dolphins. We finally got rid of him, whatever, last year. He sticks around because he's a fast special teams guy. But the guy's got speed. He's got strong hands. All he's got to do is get behind, one of those. Falcons aren't the greatest defense. So all he's got to do is get behind one of those cornerbacks. And as long as Tua hits him, he can go for a big catch. So I'm going to sneak in there that Matt Collins is my biggest value play of the week. He's got the highest ceiling, but he's also got the lowest floor because he can go 0 for easily.
Right. Jason, I actually really like the especially on the Falcons side, starting with them. I love Matt Ryan this week, especially the price, like you said. He just really opens things up for you up top there and allows you to spend up a little bit. So I do like Matt Ryan. He's probably going to be in my lineup here at the end. We'll see if we double up there, Jason.
We may triple. Now I'm going to have to pick someone else because he was mine first, but now you all are taking my guys.
I mean, it's tough. He's
as long as you
really
guys don't
the
all
only
take
one that
Matt
I feel.
Collins because I'm taking him in the 3-way there for sure.
All yours. I don't know. I mean, he's not like a great quarterback. I mean, it's not like the Falcons are good by any means, but he's always in these garbage time situations where he can throw 2 to 3 touchdowns just out of nowhere. I do like Calvin Ridley, quite a bit. His price has just gone down quite a bit as well. I don't know if I would really take Pitts just because his price is, at the range where you could get a good running back, I guess, at that position, especially for a couple $100 more. So I do like Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley a lot. And you had great calls on Waddle and Gesicki, so I really don't have much else to say there. So
I have 2 different stacks I wrote down for this game, or 2 to start my lineup. One leaves us with 5,100 left after it, and the other leaves us with 6,200 left afterwards. So first I went Matt Ryan with Calvin Ridley and came back and Cordell Patterson. I mean, the guy's actually putting up a lot of numbers this year for a running back wide receiver combo, whatever you want to call him. So Ryan, Patterson, Ridley, and Pitts. So I went all 4 of those guys. and that left me with 5,100. And I'm very confident in using that in any lineup that I build. But then I went to the value stack, and I went Matt Ryan. I left Cordell Patterson in there because I mean, honestly, running backs are weak this week, in my opinion, and I think you can't get better value than Cordell Patterson this week. But then I went Matt Collins, obviously, which we've talked about, and also Russell Gage. So everybody's going to take Calvin Ridley. Now, Russell Gage hasn't played since week 2. But in week 2, he had 7 targets, 5 catches. So the guy has some form of a connection with Matt Ryan. So another sneaky play here. If you go Ryan Patterson and then pivot to Gage instead of Ridley, and you throw Matt Collins in there, now you got 6,200 to build out your lineup. You can go Darren Waller. You can go Travis Kelce. You can go Tyreek Hill. You could probably even make that lineup with Derrick Henry in it, even though he's, 9,300? So if you feel confident in Ryan and Patterson, switching it up a little bit in some of your lineups, it gives you the opportunity to really put some big-time scores and studs in your lineup. Almost that stars and scrub mentality.
Yeah. I thought Hunter brought up a really – oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I was just saying, I thought Hunter brought up a good point about Kyle Pitts, too, is he's really only had one good game, and that was a game that Ridley didn't play. So I don't have a lot of faith in Kyle Pitts right now, especially he's getting priced up like, in that second tier of tight ends, and I'm not sure he's there just yet. So, yeah, I'd probably stay away from Kyle Pitts.
Jason, I go off of target trends, and his target trends have gone up. A couple of weeks ago against the Giants, he only had 3 targets, but since then he's had 9 and 10 targets. So his targets are going up, which means Matt Ryan is getting more comfortable with him in the offense. So, look, I'm not playing Pitts in most of my lineups, but I'm just going to slightly disagree that I think Pitts is priced maybe a smidge high because he's still got some of that draft value that, that draft buzz coming off of him. But I still think he's a fair play. I don't think he's a great play, but if you're going to go heavy in this game, I think you could be worse than going with him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't have much else to say, I guess. When I look at that, I just compare him to like guys like DeAndre Swift or Hubbard, who I think is 6,100. And I just think the chance that both of those guys hit 20 to 25 plus is a little higher than Pitts, of course. So I guess that's
and like Jason said, Gesicki's, let me do my math here.
I think 43.
$1,200 cheaper.
Yeah.
So, you can pivot that way easily and still get, really good value there.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time we've all agreed on a game, though. Me, Jason, and whoever was the third person on this show. It's the first time we've all agreed on the first game we talked about there.
That's either really good or really bad.
Last week, actually, no, we all agree. It is really bad because last week, Brendan and Jason and I all agreed that Washington was the team to stack. And Heineke was where you wanted to start, not Mahomes. And that Heineke stack really stunk. And then coming back with Eckler in 18 of my 20 lineups was just such a bad idea. So we all agreed on both those things last week, and it did not work out. Let's hope we're on the right page this week.
Yeah.
All right, Hunter. Next game that you're looking at.
Yeah. It's gonna have to be the Rams-Lions. As bad as the Lions really are. It's first off, it's a revenge game. Everyone keeps saying it's a revenge game for Stafford, of course, but I kind of like the reverse part of that, where it's a revenge game for McVay going up against Jared Goff, and just the idea of him trying to make him look almost as bad as possible.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to me.
I never thought of that part of it, just trying to embarrass him and all. I never thought of that.
Yeah. Yes. And again, it is, like I said, definitely a Stafford revenge game, if you want to call it, I guess. The one bad thing about it, of course, is the price of it. You definitely would want to start with Stafford, and obviously you'd want to put Kupp in there. Woods would be a pretty good option as well. I could just really see this team hitting 30, 40 points total just, on the Rams side alone. I love Henderson this week. I think if you're not doing a Ram stack, I think you definitely want to consider Henderson in the running back spot. And I do like running it back with DeAndre Swift on the other side.
So Scott, we're going both ways. We're saying Jared Goff has a revenge game, but we're also saying Stafford and McVay have a revenge game to an extent because there's some revenge on both sides and there's some disagreements on both sides.
Yeah.
So since he's gone, I want to ask a question because, now he's back. So I think he can answer this better Jason, being that you're in Detroit, you watch every Detroit Lions game. I mean, it's got the second highest point total projected, 51 points. But I put a big question mark next to it because the Lions defense, honestly, hasn't been awful this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stafford is going up against a Lions defense that has only once given up over 260 yards passing. And that was week 1 against San Francisco. They held Chicago. Obviously, anybody can hold Chicago to under 200 yards. But they're always in that 220 to 250 yards range of yards given up. So that's what I'm trying to justify. I had that question mark because can I put Stafford? And Stafford's burned me a few times this year. And so has Jared Goff a few times. And the Detroit defense isn't that bad. Am I wrong, Jason? Or
no, you're not wrong. The only thing is, I feel like McVay and Stafford are going to do everything they can to score a crap ton of points in this game. And I know a lot of people are really on Darrell Henderson, including myself.
Love Darrell Henderson.
It fits perfectly. Lions can't stop running backs at all. But I think if you want to be a little bit different, I think stacking the other guys might be the way to go. Like Hunter mentioned, stacking Stafford with Kupp and maybe even Woods. And then the Lions don't really have much to offer in this game, except for I do like St. Brown, the receiver. I feel like 4,100, he's got at least 7 targets in 3 straight games. He's not going to score you 30 points. It's just not going to happen. But he's pretty much getting 5 or 6 catches a game. He hasn't really gotten the end zone yet, but if he does, and he puts up 15 points, I mean, that's a huge win at 4,100.
Yes, that's who he's talking about, Scotty.
Yes.
Ramon St. Brown. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I agree with that. St. Brown.
Like I said,
I still outside of Henderson, I really couldn't find somebody that was 100%. I mean, obviously, Kupp is a stud, and if I'm stacking other games, I will have no problem coming back with Kupp. But I'm still outside of Henderson. I'm really stuck on this one, Hunter.
Yeah, that's fair. It'd be more a Stafford Kupp play for me. Most of my lines would be like only Henderson from the Rams side. Like I said, I do like DeAndre Swift a lot. Watching from what little I've watched about Jared Goff, and especially on the lines this year, he is horrible. When he's getting under pressure, and I think who knows that better than Sean McVay, of course. And what I said earlier, I do think Sean McVay. It's not a big deal, but I do think he knows so much about Jared Goff. He knows like he can't handle pressure at all. I do think he's gonna really try and send it a lot on Goff, and that's just going to be a lot of check downs to DeAndre Swift, probably coming in the later part of the game, of course, when it's maybe a blowout. But like I said, I do like DeAndre Swift quite a bit, especially for the Lions side.
I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna disagree on that one. I think we talked about some of these games could increase their game totals. This is a game I could see going on the under, honestly. I'm just looking at the Rams defense right now. They've only given up more than 92 yards rushing once in the last 4 games. They've only given up more than 260 passing yards once all year to Tampa Bay. So this Rams defense is playing great. Swift, I mean, obviously they don't give up 100-yard rushers, so I can't buy that. And Jared Goff has burned me enough times where I won't trust that, especially against a good defense and all.
Problem is with Swift though is they're not really using him to rush the ball that much. I think he's averaging 13 rushes a game. It's more in the passing game, which could actually play huge in this game. I mean, if he gets 7 catches, obviously they're all going to be dinking and dunking down the field. Goff doesn't really stretch the field at all. So if he gets 7 catches, 15 rushes, I mean, he's only 6,300. I feel like that's a good price. He's
been getting 7, 6, 6, and 7 targets the last 4 weeks.
Solid.
DeAndre Swift. So that's really good in DraftKings because they count those catches, point per reception. So that's good.
I just think this is going to be a Stafford game. I just have a gut feeling that they're going to come out and it's going to be like a 4 or 5 touchdown.
Kupp is my main wide receiver on my fantasy team. So if that's okay, I can continue going. I'm 5-1 in that. I'm going up against the only undefeated guy in our DFS or DSM league. He's not part of DSM anymore, but he's undefeated. I'm in second place, so we got to win. Aren't you supposed to just donate Scary Terry to me this week?
Yeah, you can have him.
Yeah, I'll give you Michael Gallup, who's on IR for him right now.
So I was going to say, for the record, you can come to my house for dinner anytime too. But that's neither here nor there.
Hey, I appreciate it. You can come to my house for dinner too. All right, next game. Let's talk about the highest game total at this point. Right now, it's the Chiefs-Titans game. 58 points is the over-under on that game. And again, I said it before the show, and I said it at the beginning of the show. I'm really not sure where to go this week with games in general. If you do a Mahomes stack, that game's going to be high. The Titans are coming off a huge win over the Bills. Maybe they have a little bit of a letdown. I don't know. Should we be looking at this game more, or just because it's going to be so highly owned and so highly built from, stay away from it? Hunter?
I think this game and the Texan Cardinals, especially on the Cardinals side, I think those two, they're very like high scoring, I guess. But I do think they could be a little overlooked just because they're so expensive, almost every piece, especially in the Chiefs and Titans game. I think, like I said, if it goes overlooked, I'd definitely try to go to start building there, especially with the Chiefs side. I mean, you could probably list off 5 guys that are completely loaded for both teams. Sorry, on each side there. So, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and then Brown and Derrick Henry. I think the main question we have to really ask this week, of course, is: are we going to play Derrick Henry, or are we going to try and? You said earlier you want to spend up at running back. What's your decision on Derrick Henry this week?
I'm going to use Derrick Henry at some point. Will he be in a majority of my lineups like Eckler was last week? Maybe I learned. I've never felt so disappointed in a theory of it's okay to use one guy in such a high percentage of lineups. I do it in golf all the time, and I do it in football all the time. But now last week, Eckler just burned me so bad as the highest priced running back last week that now I'm kind of second guessing it. Now, a guy at Derrick Henry's price, I mean, Eckler, I think was like at 7,800 last week. That was the highest running back last week. Derrick Henry at 9,200, it's going to be almost impossible to fit him in a large quantity of lineups, in my opinion, at that price. But, it doesn't matter what the defense is. Who's playing defense? Derrick Henry's going to run the ball. And if you follow Derrick Henry's career, it's been multiple years in a row. He only gets better as the season goes on. He's at his best in December after 300 rushes. So I don't worry about Derrick Henry at all. If you're playing Derrick Henry, I think you could get your value out of him. It's just how many times do you play him, and how many times are you going to pay down everywhere? I'm going to have to use Mac Hollins in every lineup that I use Derrick Henry in, which is not a good idea.
What do you guys think about using the Tennessee side of that stack?
It's another thing. I'm still – I have more question marks coming into the show than I do ever before. So, because I really have no idea. Tennessee? Ryan Tannehill?
Pretty cheap.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty cheap.
AJ Brown is the reason that stuck out to me was AJ Brown. Him being at 6,300. I mean, he was, what did he have, like 95 yards last week? He came close to 100 yards, 7 catches. I mean, I feel like 6,300 is way too cheap for him.
Yeah. AJ Brown, as long as he's healthy enough to play, AJ Brown's a solid play. I think it's almost like you take some Chiefs and then you run it back with one Titan, in my opinion. I mean, Tannehill, can you really feel confident? I know he's only 6,400, but I mean, he's only scored over 18 points once in the entire year in DraftKings. Last 2 weeks, he's been under 14 points each week. And they put up 71 points the last 2 weeks combined, and he doesn't even have 28 points total.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't think you can feel confident using Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback in a lineup. You just can't. You just have to pick and choose, use another stack and throw Derrick Henry in. Use another stack, throw A.J. Brown in. That's pretty much all I'm at with Tennessee. They're a great team. Yeah. They're just not a great fantasy team.
I agree. We kind of talked about at the beginning of the show why this week is so tough. There's just not a lot of value down, at the cheaper running backs that we've been seeing in the last few weeks. That's kind of why, makes these decisions up top with Derrick Henry. He's going to have to hit 30, 35, points plus for him to really pay off his price, and which he can, obviously do. He's Derrick Henry, but that's why, again, we said it's so tough this week. There's just not a lot of value that stands out as a solid lock, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. Well, I want to talk about that because there is one person. I mean, again, excuse me, guys. One game, the Eagles game versus the Raiders in Las Vegas. It's right there, tied for third, point total, 48.5. And I'm going to start with, before we talk about the stack of the lineup, I want to talk about Miles Sanders. I feel like we've talked about Miles Sanders a bunch of times on this show because obviously he's a guy that's well underutilized, but his price now has finally caught up to how he's been underutilized. He is now down to 5,100 as a running back. He started the season at 6,900 as his price. He's down to 5,100. The Raiders, another bad rushing defense. They finally ran the ball with Miles Sanders last week in the second half against the best run defense in the league, Tampa Bay. And he had 8 carries in the second half for like 50 yards. He had 9 carries for the game, like 55 yards. And for the first time, Nick Sirianni, the coach of the Eagles, has finally said repeatedly, we are going to have to find a way to run the ball more with Miles Sanders. Will it translate? I don't know. But I think at 5,100 against the Raiders defense, which is pretty weak against the run, I think they're 26 against the run. I think at 5,100, that's one spot where you can actually pay down at running back. I don't want to say you feel confident at it, but you can't feel awful about it maybe. I don't know. Am I just reaching as an Eagles fan here?
No, actually, I was going to ask you that question as an owner of Miles Sanders in one of my fantasy leagues. Been a little bit, nervous playing him recently. I actually wanted to get your opinion. So yeah, like you said, they started feeding him in the second half, and it actually opened up the offense quite a bit for you guys. So,
and he's obviously a good runner. I mean, he averaged 6.2 yards per carry last week against the Tampa Bay. So the guy can run against any defense, and when you have a bad defense, like the Raiders, you should obviously think about it.
Yeah, and you're right. There are some cheap running backs, I think, that are some solid options, like you said, Miles Sanders. I think McKissick could be decent. There's just no one that you feel like,
he's on the list.
Exactly. Like Kenny Drake, Stevenson, Jamal Williams, even, like, they're all guys that could, hit that 15-point total or so, but they all make me a little nervous, I guess.
So Sanders is a good play, I feel like, if you're going to do like a Chiefs stack or something where you're going to need to pay down at running back a little bit. I mean, you put those Chiefs guys in there with Miles Sanders. Sanders puts up 15 points. You're going to be sitting pretty.
So I have one other value running back, but let's stay on that game because I built 2 stacks with this game. One with Carr as the quarterback and one with Hurts as the quarterback. Hurts is obviously a really good quality fantasy quarterback. There's a million questions whether he's a good NFL quarterback, but he obviously puts up the fantasy stats. He's got the rushing numbers as well, and when we're behind, he gets a lot of garbage time as well.
Top 5. He's a top 5 fantasy quarterback right now.
I said before the season started that he could finish as a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah. He's only been more interesting than that. He's only been out of the top 10 once.
Yeah. I mean, he's a stud.
He's solid.
He's a stud when it comes to fantasy. Yeah. We shouldn't say stud. He's a stud when it comes to fantasy, for sure.
Yeah.
And he's priced like it. He's 6,900 compared to Derek Carr, who's only 6K. So let's see. Jalen Hurts here, 26, 23, 31, 25, 21, 28. I mean, the guy scores.
Solid.
That's solid for a 2-4 team. That's really solid right there. Yeah. So the Hurts stack, I went Hurts and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is obviously his number 1 target. He loves throwing on the ball. We knew that coming into the season. And then I went Hunter Renfrow, who are weakest. We have Darius Slay. We have Steven Nelson. Avonte Maddox, our slot cornerback, is the weakest part of our defense. Hunter Renfrow in that slot, he can easily see 8-9 targets this week. Easily get 7 or 8 catches, 100 yards against our middle of our defense, which is where our weak points are. And Hunter Renfrow has had a really good, solid trend for the most part this season in targets. And then I came back with Darren Waller because our linebackers are absolutely trash. Darren Waller, I think, could probably finish as the number 1 tight end this week, when it's all said and done.
I like it.
That leaves you with 5,240. Not a bad price, a pretty fair price to be left with. Then I went the other way, and you guys tell me which way you like better. I went Derek Carr with Henry Ruggs, who's averaging 22.5 yards per catch. Easily a guy that can get behind our defense. Our safeties don't really help our cornerbacks out much. Get a big bomb there. Then I went Miles Sanders, and I went Dallas Goedert. And Dallas Goedert is now the number 1 guy. Zach Ertz is gone. This is his moment to shine. Yeah. So if you go Carr, Ruggs, Sanders, Goddard, it leaves you with 57.60 to build the rest of your lineup. That's a lot of money left on the table there. So knowing what's left on the table, are you going to go with the Hurts stack or the Carr stack?
I think I like the Hurts stack mainly because of Hurts.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
52.40 is still a really good price to have left for the rest of your team.
I was going to actually ask you about Goddard. What are your thoughts on him? I do like him in a stack with Hurts, like you said, as the number 1 tight end. And it did seem like today, I think they said he will be active, right?
Yeah, he was cleared. He practiced today. He cleared COVID protocols. He practiced today. He's practicing tomorrow.
Okay.
Goddard, the question with Goddard isn't the talent. Dallas Goedert has every ability to be Darren Waller, to be Travis Kelce. He's basically Travis Kelce with wide receiver, well, not wide receiver speed, but closer to wide receiver speed. Problem is he just doesn't stay healthy. Whether it's COVID this year, injuries in his first 2 years, the number one key to the NFL is availability, and he's not available all the time. He's 10 times the talent that Zach Ertz was, but Zach Ertz was healthy his whole career. So that's why Zach Ertz was what he was. So now that Zach Ertz is gone, this is him and Howie Roseman could not come to an agreement on a contract. The next 10 weeks is figuring out whether Dallas Goedert is going to get that big money contract or not. So
yeah,
I could go, if you want to start with Hurts, I can go so many different directions with this game. I think it's a good stackable game.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it could sneakily be, the game to actually target. My problem with it is finding, the right pieces of the puzzle here. Because on both sides, I really don't know. I mean, it could be Quez Watkins for all I know.
Right.
Yeah, that's now. So I've been burned too many times. That's why I'm staying away from the Hardman Pringle decision with the Kansas City. I'm trying to stay away from the Rager Watkins decision as well, because 1 week or the other, one of them is going to have a big play, but neither, both of them. And never, you have no idea which one. It should be Quez Watkins every week. He's more talented than Jalen Reagor at this point, more successful. But Jalen Reagor's third on the team in targets. He's like seventh in receptions, but he's third in targets. So you just don't know where the ball is going to go there. So if you're going to go Hurts and anybody else, it's Smith and Goddard. And you avoid the cheap plays, and you look cheap plays elsewhere, in the league, because Smith is going to get the ball, So
I like that. You might be selling me a little
I can easily see this game well exceeding the 51-point total. I could, or the 48-point total. I could see this in the 50s easily, the game total. I mean, 55, 57, somewhere in that range.
And I could see people avoiding it too, just because it's hard picking, those decisions.
Okay. What other games do we want to talk? I mean, I've got other games to talk about, but I want to know if you guys have any other games to talk about real quick.
Jason, you got anything?
Yeah, I think the Baltimore-Cincinnati game is interesting. Lamar didn't have a very good game last week for his standards, but 7,400 I feel like is a good price for him. I mean, he's averaging 26 points a game. It's not like he's not a slouch. He's also had at least 7 rushing attempts in every single game, which that's how it's going to get done. I think he's averaging like 60 rushing yards a game or something crazy. I feel like stacking him with Brown at 5,800 and coming back with Jamar Chase on the other side, that still leaves you with 5,100 per player in your lineup. So I like that stack a lot. I also think you can make an argument for the other side, stacking Burrow and Chase.
Yep.
I love this game. Problem is, like, the point total just isn't there. Everyone just thinks of this being a low-scoring game. But I wrote down 2 stacks with question marks on it, because I love going Burrow and Chase, coming back with Andrews or throwing Joe Mixon in there, and Lamar. So I got a Lamar, Andrews, Chase, which I'm trying. You were talking there. I was trying to listen to what you said. I got a sneaky play here. I got to pull up his numbers here so I can pull up my trends, because there's not much of a trend here. But Bateman played only 1 game last week and already got 6 targets. Sammy Watkins, obviously already hurt and already not playing much anymore. Bateman is a sneaky play. If he just came into a game, first game in his career, and he got 6 targets right off the bat. I know he only had 29 yards receiving, but that means there's an instant chemistry and an instant connection with Lamar Jackson's confident going to him right away. He's only 3,400.
He fits good, too, for what they're trying to do. I mean, they have the downfield threats. They just don't have that over-the-middle guy, and he's kind of that guy, that big receiver.
Yeah.
So, I don't mind that call.
He can easily get – if you're gonna see him progress up, which he may not. He may drop down this week. Who knows? But if you're going to follow a positive trend, if he had 6 targets in his first game, the trend would be 6 to 8 to 9 targets this week. Might be a possibility. So if you're looking to save money, I love Bateman this week. I went Lamar, Bateman, Andrews, and threw Chase in there. Still leaves you 5,400. A lot of money left on the table. I don't know. I sneakily love this game, but the game total is what's scaring me away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think Lamar will be probably the chalky quarterback is my guess.
Yeah. I also want to say I really feel Jamar Chase is underpriced. at 6,200.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's becoming a stud in the NFL right off the bat. He spent a lot of time in the 5K. This is the first. Well, last week he was 6,700, and they dropped him to 62. He still had 97 yards last week.
Yeah.
So 6,200 for him. I think it's severely underpriced, and that's not like a 60. You don't think a 6,200 is a value play, but I almost feel Jamar Chase at 6,200 is a value play.
Yeah, I haven't been playing him much because I keep waiting for.
I try to find a way to get him in every week, at least one or two lineups.
Yeah.
My question is, if you're comparing him to, say, DeAndre Hopkins, like he's been more productive than DeAndre Hopkins, and he's what, $1,300 cheaper or something like that. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, I said from the beginning that Devontae Smith was going to be the number one wide receiver out of this class. I may be wrong because Jamar Chase is proving why he was the first wide receiver off the board. I mean, instantly came in, no hesitation. Devontae Smith, some issues, some chemistry, whatever it is, but I like that. All right, so I got one other game. Well, I got two other games in the card. I want to go back to that Cardinals-Texans game for a minute.
Yep.
Obviously, it's in the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top 5, 6 in game point totals. The Texans obviously have one of the worst defenses, in the league. Do we like that game? Every time I seem to stack Kyler Murray, he seems to have an off game that week. Obviously they're going to put up a boatload of points against Houston, right?
Yeah, I agree. And it's, that same revenge game narrative for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know. It just makes me a little bit nervous, I guess, playing Hopkins. He's so expensive. I do think you could pair, Kyler Murray with Ertz and maybe even Rondale Moore, for example, or Chris Kirk. Then you still have quite a bit of savings to go around. That could be a good option because Kyler alone can, get there himself with his running. And I think we'll see. I don't know. Do you think Ertz will be used much right away? It's only been a few days, I guess.
That's tough to tell. I mean, Zach Ertz is still a veteran. He's still a guy that's been in the league and one of the best tight ends of the last 10 years. He'll get used. Will he get used heavily? I'm just not sure. But were they really using their tight end that much? What was his name? Williams, that got hurt and out for the year. I mean, they weren't really using him 10 targets a game or anything like that. I'm staying away from Zach Ertz this week. It might be the wrong call, but I mean, I just want to see before I use him.
You won't lose if he alone goes off.
Right, exactly.
So just Max Williams, the guy that was the tight end that got hurt, he was their leading tight end. His targets throughout this year so inconsistent. Week 1, 1 target. Week 2, 7, then 3, then 5, then 1. So it's not like the tight end is a huge part of their game plan, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anything in this game, Jason, you like or don't like?
I'm probably going to stay away from this game, to be honest with you, just because I don't think it's going to be much of a game at all. And I don't know, Kyler, his floor is obviously very high. Like his floor is probably like 22, 23. He just hasn't had that huge game recently. So I'm probably staying away from this one.
So I do have I have two narratives in this game that I want to talk about for like a second. And I'm just looking at Kyler Murray. Yeah, Kyler Murray's got 2 30-point games in the beginning of the year, but since then it's been 22, 22, 13, and 25. So he's just been playing fantasy-wise an average quarterback.
Right.
So another guy, just like Jamar Chase, I think is underpriced. I still think Brandon Cooks is underpriced.
Yes.
He's only $6,000. Yeah. The guy still gets a boatload. He had 13 targets last week.
Yeah.
I know he only had 89 yards on 9 catches. I know he's not, stretching the field for these huge bombs every week. He's only got 1 touchdown catch on the year. You got to think he gets a couple more touchdowns this year. Sure. $6,000 is not a bad price. Let me tell you something. David Mills he's not a good quarterback. Obviously. This might be his last week to show. They're saying that Tyrod Taylor might be back next week. This might be his last opportunity to showcase what he's capable of. Well, 2 weeks ago against New England, David Mills put up 300 yards. He put up 27 fantasy points a couple weeks ago. I'm not saying play Davis Mills.
No.
But I'm saying there is a thread there where maybe Brandon Cooks is worth that $6,000 price tag.
Yep.
Thoughts?
I agree with you.
I like that a lot. I think I saw him at like 30% target share for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would think that high of a target share would mean you get double covered, but he seems to still be getting open and getting the catches.
Yeah. I think this game will either be a massive blowout from the Cardinals, or they'll actually, it'll be one of those Cardinals games where they're, still letting them stay in it late and then they pull away. But it's probably going to be the first side there.
I love the over-under lines this week so much more than the betting lines this week. Because this is a game, 47.5. I can easily see this being in the mid-50s, if not upper 50s. I can easily see a score of like 41-20. Cardinals just blow them out. Davis Mills gets a couple late scores, in prevent defense, and I mean, it's hard to score 60 points total in an NFL game, but this is a game where it could potentially get to that point. All right, you guys ready to build some lineups?
Let's do it.
I'm excited because you guys already said you're stealing all my Falcons and Dolphins players.
Can we just say I finally got one last week?
Yeah, you did.
Time.
So I've won once, you've won once, and the guests have won the other 947.3 matchups that we've played here. All right, let me get my share screen up here, Hunter. Guests always get to go first, which is such a bad rule because then I lose out on all the guys I want to play.
True. Oh, man, I tell you guys, I'd spend way too much time trying to figure this out going into the show.
Oh, did you? Because I've done no work for this whatsoever. Let me take the Arizona game off the screen here. All right. Where are you going to start with here? Are you going to start with quarterback? Where are you going to go?
Yeah, you can take my Matty Ice quarterback here.
Matty Ice.
I'm stealing it, yeah.
Can we just talk about how that's the least deserving nickname of all time? Matty Ice, for a guy that sucks.
He's a Philly guy. He's from the Philadelphia area.
I'm with you. I'm gonna go. I'm not playing any other Rams, so I'm gonna play Henderson. Not doing the Ram stack, so going with Henderson. And this is a big gut call, especially going against you, Phil. I'm going with DeAndre Swift here in the other running back spot. We'll see.
All right.
We'll see how it goes.
I can see that working.
So I'm not going with Derrick Henry here. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams. We didn't really talk about him too much. I could just see this as a game that he's just torching the Washington defense.
Okay.
Probably
we
not
didn't even talk about that game. I mean, that is up there at 48.5 points.
Yeah, probably not the safest cash game move that I'm pulling here, but I don't know. It just kind of fit my build. Going to go with Calvin Ridley next to match him up with Matt Ryan.
Okay.
I like Tyler Boyd next for the Bengals. Baltimore gives up quite a bit to slot receivers, so I do like Tyler Boyd quite a bit.
Let's see. His targets kind of come down a little bit, but he's still a really, really good play for the most part.
Yeah,
I think his price has come down because of his targets going down as well.
Yep. Him and Higgins are both pretty under. I mean, again, it's always one of those three that's going off. You just got to get it right, of course.
Yeah. You got 3,800 left. You got your tight end, your flex, and your defense.
So looks like Gronk is going to be doubtful, and OJ Howard likely might not play. If that's the case, I definitely want Cameron Brate at 3,300.
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, would love to see him get into the end zone.
Okay.
And then I like Darrell Williams for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Got to get a piece of that game, especially if I'm not going with Derrick Henry. It's a little contrarian again, not the safest cash game build here, but then I'm going to go with the Jets down at the bottom. The Jets defense isn't horrible, and Mac Jones definitely. I mean, he's one of the better rookie quarterbacks, but he could still have quite a few turnovers in the game, so that alone could pay off for him. So.
No, I like this. The only part of it that I'm questioning would be the DeAndre Swift part because the Rams rush defense is really good. But outside of that, I think this is a really strong, solid build right here.
Yeah, and Jason said,
you got Henderson, you've got value all over. You throw Devontae Adams in there. You got the Ridley Ryan stack, which is fantastic. And I do like Williams this week. In Kansas City, I did try to do a Kansas City stack. And I did use him in it with Mahomes and Kelsey. So, nice. I think they're really smart plays right there.
Thank you. Yeah,
do you have that written down?
Yeah, I got it in my build.
All right,
actually.
gotcha.
Off, so.
Jason, do you want to go next?
Oh, you're going next.
Oh, I'm going to go next. All right.
Winner goes last.
Go next then. All right, man, I don't know which way to go.
I've only got to do this once.
Davis Mills is my stack? Nah, I don't think so. Now we're gonna go to the Eagles game for my stack for sure here. I just have to decide which way I'm going to go. Do we go with the Carr or the Hurts? We're going to go Jalen Hurts. We're going to go Miles Sanders. Okay. We're going to go Darren Waller. Okay. Do I go Smith or Ruggs or Renfro here? We're going to go Devontae Smith. All right, so we're going to go with a heavy Eagle stack. That's where we're going to start with here. Now I got to play around. I didn't do any prep for this, so we got to figure this out. We're going to go defense next, so I can see where I'm at financially here after I pick one of these rock bottom defenses. Man, I hate to go the Jets. That's kind of the defense I would want to go with there, but we'll go the Giants, the other New York team against Carolina. All right, so I got 5,800. All right, we're going to throw Matt Collins in there. I can't talk about Matt Collins all night and not throw him in my lineup. Jamar Chase after that. Okay. Now I got 7,100 for running back and flex. Let's see where I'm at here. I would love. Oh, no, we got to get Cordell Patterson in there. Absolutely. I like him this week. And 7,900. Do we go Aaron Jones? Do I dare put 2 tight ends in my flex? And I think we're going to go with that. We're going to go completely off the reservation and play 2 tight ends, Darren Waller and Travis Kelce this week. So there we go. We're going with we're getting a lot of my favorite players in this week. We're getting Chase in, Waller in, Patterson this week. We're going to make this work here, and I'm going to finish in last place again probably. You love my confidence, Jason?
I do.
I'm always so confident, and
I'm
having trouble getting my phone to turn on here. There we go.
I like it.
All right,
like I
I'm
said,
ready to go.
You convinced me on Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
we'll see if
I think this is the week. This is the week where Miles Sanders finally has some. I'm not saying he's going to go off and put up 25 fantasy points this week, but this is the week where his usage rate goes up. Yeah. We'll see what it translates to. Jason, where are you at?
Listen, I'm building from the bottom up.
Okay, so
quite
literally,
I'm going to start with the Eagles.
Eagles defense. Okay, I think that's actually the Eagles defense is not awful. I mean, fantasy-wise. They get interceptions. They get sacks. They just give up 40 points.
Building from the strength at the beginning, okay? I'm going to go the Tua stack. So I'm stacking Tua.
Hold on 1 second here. Tua. Oh, man. There we go. Tua.
Oh, he's not even on the board anymore. No, Tua, as long as he plays, Tua's my quarterback.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get, canceled and sent to Houston or Denver or somewhere else.
I'm going to stack him with Waddle and Gesicki.
I do like that. I'm going to have to play that in one lineup, honestly.
Yeah.
Nope, that's GE. There we go. All right.
Then I'm going to go Henderson too at running back.
Okay. I'm glad I didn't go. I was going to go Henderson, but I'm glad I didn't.
I got to make a decision now. I am going to go Aaron Jones. Going to be my other running back.
We really didn't spend much time talking about that. Remember, after this, I want to bring up Aaron Jones after you're done building your lineup.
Okay. I'm going to go Darnell Mooney at wide receiver.
Oh, man. You're bringing up all these guys that are on my value list that I haven't even talked about here yet. I like it.
Which way do I want to go here? I'm going to go –
You got 6,600. You got a wide receiver and a flex.
I'm going to go DJ Moore.
Love DJ Moore. Probably one of the underrated wide receivers this year so far in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his price is starting to feel it, but,
Yeah. And then I'm going to go Cooks. Is going to be my flex.
There you go. Listening to me with the Brandon Cooks move there. All right. So here's your lineup. You got the Tua stack. Got Henderson, Jones, Waddle, Mooney, Moore, Gesicki, and Cooks in the Eagles. All right. I like that. I can see that. All right. So I want to bring up a point real quick with the whole – I was trying to find – I told you guys there's no value at running back. And I was trying so hard to find value at running back. And you brought up Aaron Jones. So I brought up A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon had 11 rushes for 59 yards last week. He is that potentially at a time, a goal line, might get a touchdown occasionally, on a short yardage touchdown running back. Is there any way that we start to see that the last 3 weeks, 15, 8, and 11 rushes? He's also got 7 targets the last couple of weeks in the passing game. Is there any way that we're starting to see Green Bay go to a 2-headed running back format and that A.J. Dillon might be at 4,900? I'm not saying a regular play, but may at some point be a play that, he's going to get another touchdown in the next couple of weeks. When you pick that, you don't know. Washington's a bad defense. Maybe he gets some extra touches late in the game. I don't know. Thoughts on A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones there?
I do like A.J. Dillon quite a bit. He's such a different back compared to Aaron Jones. That's why I'm so surprised that, he's getting as many touches and they're actually using him a little bit in the receiving game, I think. That's just surprising to me. I actually, again, as a Packers fan, I'm surprised. I thought that they would use Aaron Jones more just because I think he is such a more of a talented back. But yeah, I mean, I really can't hate on that. Like, production really doesn't lie. So, at the
11
price
rushes to Aaron Jones having 13 rushes last week. That's
crazy.
Almost 50-50 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best point, too. I think when you bringing up the fact that he's getting targets, that's the weirdest part to me because Aaron Jones is so good out of the backfield. It's just strange to me that they're throwing the ball to Dylan. So I don't know if you could play him just yet, but I could see, maybe the GBP,
you gotta
like a
keep
huge
on your
contest.
mind, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like a big contest, for sure.
Hunter, as a Packers fan, have they locked up Aaron Jones long-term yet? I know that was something that was talked about. I don't know if it ever happened or not.
Yes, I think it happened earlier this offseason.
Okay.
I
know it was a discussion. I didn't know if they actually figured it out. Because I was going to say, maybe they're grooming Dylan to take over, but if they did lock him up, then maybe not. Then maybe Dylan is the guy that goes elsewhere in the offseason and all. But, yeah, no, it's just something I was talking about. And I love your down. So I actually looked at my wide receiver list here. I have actually talked about them all but Mooney. I love Mooney at 4,600 this week.
Yep,
his targets, this trend, 7, 8, 5, 8. I mean, the guy's getting looks every single week, and he only has one touchdown catch so far this year.
Yeah.
So I love looking for the guys that are going to score 4 or 5 touchdowns, but only have 0 or 1 because they're going to get one eventually. So I think Mooney's another good. I got Mooney.
Well, and
Gage,
him only having one touchdown isn't on him. I mean, their quarterback play has been god awful.
The whole team's been god awful.
Yeah.
Offensively, obviously. But yeah, no, I do like Mooney this week as well.
Yeah, I like that. Good call.
All right. I don't know about you guys. I think we've covered every single name on my list here so far. But I don't know if you guys got anybody else you want to touch on. We only hit 54 minutes tonight. we breezed through the episode tonight.
I think you got everyone on my list here. Right. So
I'm just going to say I went 3-0 on my picks last week. It's the second time this year I've gone 3-0 on my locks. I know I've had some 0-3s as well mixed in there, but we won't talk about the 0-3s.
We don't talk about those. No,
we're not going to talk. But stay tuned on Twitter because I don't have my picks made yet for the week. But I have a feeling that this week is going to be heavy on the over-unders and not the lines because I just think there's a lot of mispriced games on the over-under lines this week. That's just my opinion. I know, Hunter, you're not much under the betting, but, I think there's a lot of games that can go into the 50s and having only 2 so far, I think that's something right there to think about.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Jason can go put Jax to bed. Hunter can get back to whatever Hunter does, grading some papers or whatever a teacher does late at night. This is DFS, no punt intended, here on DSM Media. We are brought to you by Manscaped. Again, your wives, your women will thank you along with your balls. So make sure you use DSM at checkout. It's the truth. That is the tagline. Your balls will thank you, and your women, in your lives. Use DSM at checkout. Get you 20% off and free shipping. And also make sure you check out TeePublic. Midnight is when the 35% off sale. All DSF or DSM logos and shirts. We got a couple Eagles designs on there. Are all 35% off right now. $13 t-shirts. Support the pods. We need the support. That's how we put off all this stuff that we do. All this stuff that we pay for. So make sure you guys are supporting the podcast. For Jason, for Hunter, I'm Phil Stiefel. We'll be back next week, Thursday night, and I will see you all Sunday night now because it's a 4:00 game, 7 p.m.-ish, 7:30-ish for the Eagles Aftermath post-game show. We'll see you then. Everybody have a great night, and talk soon.
Peace out.